today's episode of PJ and the Beard, we're going to take a look at a pedal. But before we get into that, I'd like to ask you to consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell. Your interaction with us helps us interact with great people in the industry, and in this case, Brian Wampler.
Yeah.
We reached out to Brian, and we're interested in getting in the Wampler Catacombs, and that's exactly what we did.
Right. In fact, Brian was one of the first guys we reached out to way back in Leslie's series, and he helped us out with the Terraform, which we're still doing videos on. We did a course video on it just recently, all the courses in it. And so why do I mention that? Because we know how powerful this pedal is. And when we saw that he had a delay and a reverb pedal, I was like, wow, I bet if that's as powerful as this is, that'd be pretty cool. And I just so happened to be considering, like, looking around, like, what kind of delay and reverb could I throw at the end of a board? I was like, well, let's check that out, right? We gotta get that in for the channel and check that out, and then hopefully maybe we'll end up on a pedal board somewhere. I think what we're gonna do is jump right into a couple sounds, and then we're gonna pick the pedal apart a little bit and look at it, and who it's for or what it's for, But this is pretty exciting. I'm pretty excited about this one. So for the first clip. Should I just go for it, right?
Go for it, yeah.
I got my PRS, plugged it into a Marvel Electronics direct drive, and then plugged it into Wampler. One of the things I was thinking is I want to be able to, with this pedal, get like that analog delay sound that I like with just a couple repeats and a nice reverb that I would use, like, in case I plugged into, for example...
A real-life example.
Yeah, the Blue Society, the one Deluxe Fender Deluxe they have over there, the one that has a reverb in it for some reason. I always ask them to him, like, does that amp over on that side of the stage have reverb? And say, oh, yeah, it does. And I go up and I plug in, I turn the reverb all the way up, and nothing's coming out. So that would be good use. So I wanted to kind of get that sound that I normally go for. So here is my PRS McCarty direct drive, just a touch of reverb, and a little bit of analog delay.
All right, for my first clip, I don't think I followed the formula. I went right to the, wow, what can this do?
Yeah.
So I did have a pretty, like, normal kind of tame reverb. Didn't explore the reverb side too much. But on the delay side, I went to the Bucket Brigade, and I wanted a lot of repeats that would fill spaces between chords. And then I just kind of noodled and probably overplayed and did this.
So for my next clip, I got this thing in my head. There's Andy. And do I need to tell you who Andy is, right?
Andy. No pick Andy.
Andy did this thing. He was looking at some of his favorite pedals from long ago. And on the one pedal, he did this thing where he cranked up the mod and the rate to get almost, and put a lot of repeats, to get almost like a Leslie sound just on the repeats. I didn't get there.
But on the way.
But yeah, I was thinking about that, and on the way to that, and then I was like, well, what if I had that? And then threw some Shimmer reverb on it. So I went to the Shimmer reverb setting, and where would I kind of use this? And then I was like, you know what? A lot of times when I do use my Leslie, I throw like a crazy tube circuit Falcon in front of it that, you know, to break things up a little bit. Didn't have that pedal here, but I did have the Tomahawk from Greer amps, which I'd pick up, but it's all apparently plugged in right now. Plug that in and then use the volume knob, right? And so here's kind of how I might use this pedal in this kind of situation.
All right, it's my turn again, and I wanted to explore the Shimmer as well, because in some of the spaces that we play in the praise and worship space on Sundays, we tend to try to use Shimmer. I'm not sure I used it exactly the way I would use it at church. It was probably a little bit more over the top, which is the trap and the tendency when you're trying something out to just fill the entire room. Right. But I grabbed the Sterling St. Vincent that we still have on loan from Zzounds, and I played this. So one thing we're kind of excited about this pedal is you can go between series and parallel. And I've been really interested in parallel. I've been hearing a lot about it. And so this pedal does it. So I'm going to play that exact same thing, same settings, and all we're doing is switching it to parallel. In the room, we could hear a pretty significant difference. Let's see what you can hear.
So now we're at the time in the video where we like to turn some knobs, talk about some features of the video. Actually, I don't think we're doing much knob turning here today, but we're going to talk about some features. One of the first things I think worth mentioning, and so on my personal big pedal board that sits on stage all week long over at the church, never leaves. I have an independent delay pedal, independent reverb pedal. Not that I use half of the functionality of either one of those, right?
And you have another delay pedal just for fun.
Right. So, I mean, I don't want to pick that thing up and move it around. So I've been thinking about, and we did a video on a small pedal board a while back that I built, and I'm still like, that's not right. Right. So I've been thinking about trying to find a reverb and delay in one that doesn't take up too much room, that has enough functionality to cover the things that I might want to cover. And I think Brian's kind of done that. And then he's put all these features in that I think are pretty special. So we're not going to try and run through every feature and turn every knob of this. Brian Wampler has a playlist of videos that walk through how to adjust almost every feature on the pedal. And so if you get to the point where you're like, yeah, I want that pedal, go check that out. All right. So what we're going to do, I want to share with you some of the reasons I think, or we think this would be good to put like on the end of maybe a smaller board. You know, like I always think of like a board that I might take to a jam, or might take to a friend's house, or might take to sit in with a band, or might go gig with like a rock or jam band in my case. And where I don't need the mothership.
Right.
So let's start with the presets. He has 8 presets loaded in here. I think they're pretty cool. We're going to fly through them real quick, just to let you hear what they sound like. There's probably people that go into each one a little more in depth, but we're like, hey, let's just show you. So.
Your bonus whack.
Yeah. Hats off to Pat for doing that. I mean, surprise! Here's a preset you got to go with.
Like, what is that?
So, cool stuff. Those are the presets. You'll notice I'm flipping through the presets by pressing what you would think of as the tap tempo knob. Right now it's set up for presets. So one of the things I really like that Wampler did is they gave you some options here on how you can use it on your board. That's a cool way to use it. If you have your presets, I was telling Pat, like, well, maybe I would make just a reverb preset in one and just a delay preset in two, and then make my kind of like that first clip I did, make that my third preset. Mm-hmm. And then for the fourth one, maybe I would make something, whatever. Or because I'd like to be able to I feel like if I get an amp that doesn't have reverb, maybe I want to use the reverb from the pedal. Mm-hmm. But if I have an amp that has reverb, maybe I don't. I'm going to press and hold the tap tempo button. It's going to flash a bunch of lights. And now I'm independently controlling reverb and delay. Just delay, just reverb. That's really cool. But I mean, what do I do if I want to change my presets?
What do you do?
Right.
Good question.
So you can get the syntax. I'm going to change the screen here so you can see this. Here's the syntax. Wampler came up with this. You have 3 options, MIDI, tap, or latch. You'll notice they're both set in the MIDI option right now. So that's controlling MIDI. Watch the light over here. Press this one. Press this one. We're moving through our presets. I can go back. So that's even a little bit better because it gives you the option of going forward or backwards through your presets. And I can still independently control. But I want to tap tempo.
Don't we all?
Press and hold the tap tempo button again. It's going to flash some lights. And now it's flashing blue. Yeah, if you want to play that. So yeah, you have tap tempo. And with tap tempo, you can't see the collider right now, but I can still
Go through your presets.
go through the presets with the collider. You'll notice when we switch presets, it cuts off.
Sorry.
You'll notice it cuts off, but you can put trails on and make the trails hang over when you go through the presets if you want. Stereo in and out, so you can run it stereo. We have some stereo clips for you after we get through this little part of our favorite features. You also can use, if you don't want to run it in stereo, one of the things that I've been looking at is the ability to run it. So you can put a pedal in between the delay and reverb path. So back to series probably. And I was playing with that because I like to have kind of my...
I'm only holding up one because off camera you did one in the middle and one at the end.
Yeah, and then I switched one to the beginning. I like trying to see how it affected it. We didn't put that in the video. That was a Saturday afternoon. Like, could I slide my... Because I like to have my long kind of tape delay, then my short analog delay, and then my reverb. And yeah, I can slide that pedal in between them. That's pretty cool. Pat already mentioned there's a switch on the back where you can go to series. So it splits your signal, goes to delay, goes to reverb, and then brings it back together so they don't affect each other. Or you can slide that over and go in series. Did I say series? That's parallel.
Yeah, parallel. Yeah.
Parallel is when it splits. Or you can go in series, where it's the delay into reverb. Or you can flip it and go reverb into delay. Because you can do everything. What am I missing?
Secondary features for each.
Right. So...
reverb.
Right now, if I turn knobs, I'm turning what's in the white. And so I'm affecting delay. If I turn this knob, you'll see me go from my different delays. And then everything but this knob that says reverb, this is going to be the level of your reverb, level of your delay, feedback of delay, time of delay, and then modulation of delay. If I press and hold this button and keep it held for a second, it will start to blink. Now I'm doing my reverb. So turning this knob over here will change the reverb. And it's doing all the secondary features. If I turn that off, say I want to do like a secondary feature really quick, I can just press and hold it and then turn, and I'm changing the secondary feature. One thing that's really cool about this, let's get into like preset 2. Say I start messing with the delay. You can see right now I'm below where the preset was. See how it just popped back to the preset, tell me what preset I'm on. Turn it, I'm below. If I keep going, I keep going, I keep going. Oh, 2 knobs, that's where it is at the preset. If I go above it, it's going to show me above the preset. So you can always find where it was in the preset, which is pretty slick because sometimes you have like a great preset and you turn something and you're like, oh my gosh, how do I get back to where it was? So that's pretty slick too. You can plug an expression pedal in. You can plug MIDI in. You can use like a different MIDI controller. My gosh, I feel like there's something I'm missing that I thought would be really good to talk about. But
and for all the other features, Wampler has put a bunch of little chapters or playlists, I think, on his website.
Right. So it's like, how do you want to use it? Do you want to use it in tap mode? Do you want to be able to turn the reverb delay off? Do you want to be able to use the syntax to change MIDI? Like, what do you want to do? You can do it. And I like that it's so easy to switch in between because I could run it in tap mode if I want to have both on.
Right.
But if I'm in a situation where I want to be able to just control which delay or reverb's on, I could press and hold that tap and get over to another mode. Boy, it's a lot.
It is.
So, do you want to... That clip you did in series and then did in parallel.
Yeah.
We played it a third time. You want to set that up?
Yeah, I grabbed the same guitar again, which I'm not holding now, the St. Vincent, and we went stereo, which why not? And with that, we always add the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe, and it did some interesting things. And again, I don't want to pre-paint the picture. You listen, but it was really interesting what it did, and it sounded huge. And so there's the third iteration of kind of the same thing I played, And here it is.
So once we plugged the amps in the stereo, I wanted to play it a little bit too. Pat reminded me that I like to sometimes just get the delay set kind of high and just noodle over top of it. So I set a nice reverb, and then I have kind of this tape delay. I think it was a tape delay. Played it dry, hit the reverb on so you can hear the reverb come on, hit the delay on so you can hear that come on, and then kind of just played along with myself. Along with myself. So that's all the sounds and stuff we have for you tonight. Final thoughts.
Well, I always have to hold said item. And I always have to go to my standard thing.
I liked it.
I did like it. Man, this is almost going to be like a therapy session more than final thoughts. Feature rich, very robust. The sounds were nice. Every time I get one of these, I'm like, man, I wish that I was more patient, because you could really set up some great stuff. Like you were saying, I went right for the, wow, what can it do? It's crazy. How did I want to use it in the room here? But something like this, exactly what you were saying. I could set it up I probably maybe have the Shimmer and some kind of like normalish reverb. Right now I'm playing through a Hendrix 50 that doesn't have reverb. So I could use it for that. And then set it for a couple different delays, and then maybe have it set for some of the more stretching your legs kind of thing, or ethereal things. So I just say that every time I get one of these, I'm like, it's great. I just never use all the features in something like this. Mm. But even as a standalone, even if I just had on, off, and set one delay and one reverb, it's still pretty amazing. Right. Without even getting into the little sidecar of dreams here, where you could really, really go for it. But I do like it. It's great that we just pulled the Terraform out a couple weeks ago, maybe even last week, because I called it the Terraform because I was so afraid of it. But now that we just did that, I was anxious to dive into this, and it's just enough that I'd have to set it and remember what I did, because if not, I'm just going to forget every time. And we even fat fingered it a couple times tonight and had something set and hit it. Went, oh my gosh, we just lost everything.
Don't hit when you're making a preset. When you're making a new sound, don't hit the preset button.
Yeah, don't hit this little button right here. It'll make your world go bad. But I love it. I'm really glad that he helped us out and send it over, and we're going to try it out.
Yeah, I think I'm with Pat. Sometimes it's like, oh, much. There's too much. There's too many knobs. I don't feel like getting into it. Once you look at this, though, it's pretty intuitive, right? Yeah, you got to hold this button down and turn that knob. But I mean, it's all labeled. And once you understand how it works, to set up the syntax, I went to the playlist on Wampler's YouTube page and watch the playlist on how to do it. It was like 30 seconds on how to set that up and get it to work with a MIDI. Mm-hmm. And if you watch the video and pay attention and don't miss steps, it will take you 30 seconds. That's all I'm going to say about that. So many of the things that I wanted to be able to do, I want to be able to control the reverb in the... Like when I first saw it come out and he was playing through, I'm like, oh, that's cool. I wonder if you can control the reverb and the delay separately. And then he's like, oh, and then you can control the reverb and delay. Like so many of the little things that I wonder if you could do a tab and still flip through the MIDI.
Like you said earlier, it's almost like it was designed by a player.
Yeah. So many things that I wanted it to be able to do, it can do. I think it's a pretty brilliant little box. Like I said before, we've been playing with the, some Velcro on the back of that one, right? We've played with the Terraform a good bit. Same form factor. Terraform, super. This is all modulations. So if you want chorus and Univibe and Leslie and harmonic phaser trem. And harmonic trem and tremolo, whatever, and dimensions, you have that in here. Envelope filter, you have all that stuff in that box. So I think he's doing a nice job with these to give you a lot of functionality in a small box. Look at that. That's it right up on the end of that little small pedal train, no problem, right? And that would fit on there too.
Right.
So, with that, hey, thanks for watching. If you hit the subscribe, click notification bell, leave comments, anytime you interact with us, that's what helps us interact with people like Brian Wampler and bring cool stuff in to share with you. So, with that,
I'm PJ on behalf of the Beard, reminding you no matter what you hear, you never have too much gear.